I'm still sat in the car waiting for Claire. She's gone. My partner, she's got emphysema and she's gone into the IUH hospital. So I'm just waiting for her to get all her tests done. She's had some nearly died. She had pneumonia and she's got, like I said, she's got emphysema, COPD. She's pretty fragile. Lost a lot of weight in the last few years. Anyway, she's spent a lot of time at the hospital lately, waiting. Yeah, just trying to remember a bit more about what happened around that time. I mean, when I moved into that house, there was a guy up the road. I can't say his name, but I used to get hash off him to sell. He'd give me quarter weight for 4 ounces, and I'd sell little bits just to the friends who came round and stuff. But his girlfriend I took a liking to, and she took a liking to me, and we ended up having an affair, which spoiled all that really, which is I regret that, you know, regret hurting him. I hope he's I think he's dead actually. I got told he died. I think he got involved in the heroin scene and died, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. Yeah, I also, a bit after that, met another girl called Julia, and she just finished a degree, or she was just finishing a degree in social sciences or some sort of sociology or something like that. And I got to know her, and she was going off to Ireland. This bloke who she knew had inherited a boathouse on the coast of Ireland near just about 10 miles from Galway, and they were going to be renovating it, and the idea was we'd go there and stay there for a bit and do the work on the house. It's really exciting anyway, but that was a few weeks ago. So I went back down to Kent, and her ex-boyfriend, had split up 9 months ago given, and weirdly enough, Mick ended up with my ex-girlfriend Sybil, and I think they stayed together for a long time, maybe still together now, but he was still pretty infatuated with Julia, and you know, I didn't really know how to deal with that. And I remember finding, because I knew loads of sneaky spots in Kent to go and park up, and because I've been living down there as a traveller for a few years on and off. Anyway, I found one place, and I was sleeping in the back of the van, and I heard this roaring motorbike outside, and I thought, oh fuck, Mick's here. And so he hung up with him, and then I went back down to the back caravan, and came back one time, and they'd got a bottle of tequila, him and another mate of mine sat in the caravan, and they were yeah, anyway, he got pissed, and he was, you know, as the evening went on, we sat around the fire as we did every night, and we decided we needed to score a bit of a smoke to try and chill things out. So I drove up to Bogleswood, which is where the main body of travellers were then by that time. And anyway, we went up to score back at this van, and he said something really abusive to them, and I just tried to drag him away. He said it again, and anyway, this is ginger-headed guy who'd been in jail for bottling this policeman at Stonehenge, and he'd just got out of jail. He leapt out the back of the van and chased my mate into the woods. So I was driving around these little forestry tracks in the woods trying to find him for hours. Anyway, eventually couldn't find him, so I went back down to where my caravan was. Fire still going, people still sat around with my mates, so not many, just like 3 or 4. So I went back there, and then sat there for about an hour, and then he stumbled out of the bushes, and he was all upset and gave me a hug and stuff. And but anyway, I decided I had enough there, and so Julia was now living back in Winchester, where she was from, so I drove on to Winchester and stayed there and got a job on a building site for 3 weeks while we were waiting for Ireland to happen. And then we drove up to Ireland, drove through Wales, Anglesey, and got the ferry across to Dunleary, took the van over and drove across to this boathouse near Galway where we stayed. And the bloke whose job it was a bit of a dick, and he never got the material, so we were there waiting for, I mean, it's good, we were sunbathing, swimming in the sea and the bay and everything, and had a great time waiting. But eventually after 4 weeks we thought, oh, this is getting too much, so we went for a bit of a drive around Ireland, to explore Cork and Kerry, and came back up into the those hills, those mountains just below Dublin, and then came back to England. But while I was there, I met this bloke called Mark, and he told me about, because I was into the woodwork by then, and he told me about this course in Shrewsbury where they did like creative woodwork, where you cross between art and furniture making. And I thought, oh, that's bang on for me, so perfect. So I had that set in mind, but in the meanwhile, my Julia moved out of Birmingham to do a postgraduate course there, and I went down to Birmingham to live with her, and we lived on a road called Shakespeare. It's near Balsall Heath, Moseley area, which was quite a rough area at the time. There was 4 murders in the time I was there, within the space of about 250 yards. I won't describe them all because they're pretty grim, but it was, you get an idea of the kind of place it was. So a year in Birmingham, and then on to Shrewsbury College, where I started doing the furniture and designing and making furniture, and moved into this shared farmhouse with which is actually where Mark had lived. That's how I got the address, and it was 15 quid a week it was, and my room had a fireplace in it, and but it was pretty basic. It wasn't much you know, it wasn't very modern, like, but it was fine for us. It was really good. And Paul Stevens, I met, still my mate. I don't see him so often, but he's still one of my best mates. And Paul Smith as well, another guy. He was from Kent. Yeah, I did really well. I think some of it was down to Paul, because Paul he'd been a junior powerlifting champion of the world, and so he took that application to his woodwork and his furniture making, and he was fucking brilliant, best craftsman I'd ever met, and it kind of spurred me on watching him get, you know, to try and compete with him. And I was living in the same house with cycling, and it was about 4 miles from where we lived, cycled in, and just total discipline, total dedication to it, not to the getting marks or anything, but just to getting good at it, and learning off each other. And he was brilliant craftsman, superb. Some of the stuff he did, and I did well because I was good at designing as well. So my first year went really well. Second year was good as well, and did really well. And I met a girl called Alice. But just before I met Alice, was I got a title. We'd had taken over the house that I'd had in Leeds that I was talking about, well, shared house kind of thing, and We'd had sort of taken my place, or taken a place there, and it'd always been like a bit of it'd become a bit of an alky, and the doctors had prescribed him temazepams and diazepams, and he was getting and the doctors basically just said they're just numbers to me and let him have what he wanted. But you know, pretty dangerous drugs really, I think, yeah, benzodiazepines. And the next thing I heard was he'd killed himself, and I mean, he used to go through these phases where he thought he was really mentally ill, but you could always talk him down. You could always make him laugh. If you give him half an hour, you could bring him round. And I felt so guilty that I wasn't there to do that then. And he can't have been much more than 21 when he killed himself. And see, there's a lot of deaths. There's a lot of people. A lot of my best mates that I grew up with are dead now. A good dozen of my closest friends. Anyway, he killed himself, and I think he cut his wrist and bled off into this bathroom cabinet, and was found by one of his oldest mates from school. There was also Rufus. I started to see a little bit of him, and then he was because they were both from Wetherby, I think, and Rufus is dead now as well. I'd known Rufus from Scouts, from when we were kids, you know, young kids, and we got on well, and you know, he got right into the drugs, just through the speed, and then the heroin. When the heroin came in, I think he got heroin habit, and he was the first person I knew that was selling heroin, and that I think it's the start of something that became very big. But I think he died from that. He was a good artist, and it's like Wid. I just think Wid could have been saved. I just think if someone had been the right person, because he could just talk him out of it. It was easier to talk out of his depressions. He wasn't like a deeply depressed person. He was just a sort of emotional character, and he needed a bit of love and a bit of a laugh, and that one hurt more than a lot of the others, because the ones who die from heroin overdoses, it's kind of like they're there 1 minute and then they just drift off to sleep, and it's the easiest death there is. There's no. And I've brought one friend, I won't mention his name, but I brought him round twice from overdosing, and they're not grateful when you bring them round. They're just pissed off that you spoilt their hit. So it's kind of different when they die, like when Martin died of the heroin overdose. I'm not saying it didn't sadden me, but suicide is something different, isn't it? Suicide's very, if someone's that upset that they're going to kill themselves, especially someone like Wid, who was very sort of, he was soft. If he got cut or a bruise or anything, he was very, it just didn't sit right with me that he'd cut himself, bled out. It just didn't seem like the way that he would have done it if he was going to do it. So it really upset me. I went a bit mental. I remember going a bit mental about that one. But anyway, that sort of takes me up to when I was at Shrewsbury. And at Shrewsbury College I did good, made some great pieces of work. Got a couple, started getting in magazines. Got a bit of a recognition, first little bit of recognition for it. Did my one favourite desk that I've still got. Another table that featured in the magazine. There's an article about, which the article's called Wired and Twisted, which we thought was appropriate because it came, we've been doing this after the speed period, getting wired and that. But yeah, I made some good things there, and it's where I got good. It's where I got my standards good there, and I went on to do another course, 3-year course, degree course after that. Another thing, to get onto that course, because I got no O-levels and fucked up at school, they had to take a bit of a leap of faith on me. And Hugh Scriven, who's the course tutor, he gave me this little exercise to do, and I went away with it and made it. It was this little marking gauge in a little cam system thing in Sycamore, which I went away and made, and passed and got on the test and excelled really. There was some other good woodworkers there, like I say. Paul was outstanding. Lasse came from Norway, and anyway, we had a good time in Shrewsbury. There was a few things went wrong in Shrewsbury. Some people took the piss a bit, and it was fucking some dickheads there as well, because it was like there's a lot of dickheads in the course too. But you only need about 3 or 4 on a year for it to be strong. And I think we had Andy Vaughan was very good, and Mike I can't remember his second name now. Anyway, he was a good crack, and he was very good at furniture making. And Hugh Scriven, just put the course tutor, he showed me videos of a guy called Fred Bear, and I looked at his work, and he became my sort of woodwork hero, because I just thought, what the fuck are these things he's making out of wood? It's just unbelievable that you can push the boundaries of furniture to that extent. But I had never met him at that point. I'll tell you, I did get to meet him later on. I got very close to him and still am. But anyway, that's that point. That's up to about 20. I guess I'm up to about 25 there. Just started my relationship with Alice and just left Shrewsbury.